Welcome back to Madden 25, and today we're going to be doing yet another fantasy draft guide. I figured the earlier we do these sort of guides, the longer they'll stay relevant, as once the regular season hits, ratings and devs will be changing up and down, so they'll be less and less relevant and likely to be accurate. Of course, with this one, we're going to be doing the most overpowered fantasy draft guide, which I think is going to be a little different maybe than some people think. I'm not going to just be taking the very highest overall at every position we're going for. I'm still going to be strategically looking at when a player goes and their specific value, right? Like, you have a guy like Demario Davis, who's one of the best off-ball linebackers in the league. He's like a 92 overall in game, I think. But he's 35 years old. So yes, grabbing him would probably make him, one of the stronger players on the team. But most franchises last about 3 to 5 seasons, so I figure you still want to have a team you can use for a little bit. So, while on average, most of these guys are going to be higher overall, higher age than we're used to grabbing, we're still going to be grabbing players that are at least in the 26 to 28-year-old range. Anything higher, I think, is just a waste of a pick, unless maybe they're like a DT or a safety or something, or, once again, quarterback, I suppose. However, this year, things are a little bit different, as you actually, even when you can't back out, this option actually goes away once the draft starts, and all you get is demand release, which does literally nothing. So the only actual way you can get the first overall pick is by doing an offline league. It's not the only way. You can obviously keep doing online leagues, but the quickest way is to have an offline league, save this starting point, and keep going into the fantasy draft, because unfortunately, it is not a specific draft to the league you're creating. So right now, when I start fantasy draft, the Ravens might be pick 1 overall, but if I back out, go back in, they're not going to be pick 1 overall anymore. So the only way you can actually do this is by constantly redoing the draft and really just hoping you get the first overall pick. So this is actually going to take me a little while to actually get the first overall pick, but it will be, in general, my version of the most overpowered fantasy draft team you can get at this point in Madden 25. And yeah, as you can see, Mahomes always goes number 1. Some of the other rankings, they do change up a little bit, but Mahomes will always go number 1. So if you want the truly most overpowered team, it's going to be back out and go back in sim, which, to be fair, isn't terrible. As you can see here, I don't know what the actual timer is. We back out, we go right back in. And, it's about 10 seconds per sim, which isn't going to be the worst thing in the world. Now, if you did an online league and you had to do the settings every time, yeah, that's going to be pretty painful, I will admit. Finally got the first pick overall. It took so many different tries. It was like about 30, 40 tries, which, of course, at 10 seconds apiece isn't, like, terribly long. I think I've seen the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Lions. Oh, and the Broncos each have 3 first pick overalls before us. It's unbelievable. It's really a scam. But let's get on into this thing where, of course, the first overall pick, realistically, your best options are going to be Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. They're both 28 and 27, whereas everyone else is basically 28, 20, whatever, 27, 28 as well. But based on abilities, based on, like, throw power, which is one of the most important ratings, even higher than speed, which Mahomes even has 87 speed, 88 excel this Madden, which is ridiculous to me. Mahomes is obviously the best quarterback in the league, the best quarterback in the game, and the best pick, number 1 you could ask for. Now, looking at the next round, Dexter Lawrence goes 49. I swear, every time I watch these or do these, the Dexter Lawrence goes higher and higher. He just keeps going higher and higher. But with this pick, we're going to take a look. Was one of my guys actually there? He is. DK Metcalf is going to be my choice for this selection, I think. Now, the reason why I say I think is because if you don't go edge rusher here, which if it's important to you, which I think edge rusher should be important to most people, you're going to lose it. Chase Young is gone here, but I have seen him here multiple times. And as far as edge rusher goes, Greg Rousseau, Rashawn Gary, and Will Anderson will all be gone by the next selection round. The problem with that is, though, is I 100% will be going Quentin Williams. He is always worth it at this selection, without a doubt. So he's going to be gone. Then you argue, do you take edge rusher or do you take wide receiver? For me, I really do love DK Metcalf. I think he's one of the hardest guys to cover in the game. He's 6'4" with 96 speed. He is just really tough to cover, and he has great abilities. He's just a problem. He has amazing trucking and stuff. So even after the catch, if he does get caught up, it's really hard to bring him down. The problem is if you want edge, which I think is probably the toughest position to develop, you kind of need one now. Could go like George Karlaftis a little bit later, and he's not bad, 23 years old. He's pretty good. Maybe we'll take that option. But yeah, if we're talking overpowered, I think a great offense is going to be the most, like the best way to have an overpowered team. Garrett Wilson's not superstar, but he goes really high. And I think there's really not many more wide receivers in-game that are tougher than DK Metcalf. In our online league, he's always the highest guy every single time, stats-wise, because he's just really hard to guard. So DK Metcalf is going to be our next selection. Now, looking ahead, are the other players still there that I'm looking at? And it looks like they are. I think we got really lucky here. Jonathan Allen's gone, which, he would have been a thought, I suppose. But you can already see one of the guys that we're going to be choosing. Another true definition of OP. Basically, the cornerback version of DK Metcalf. Not really the weight/muscle-wise, but ironically enough, on the same team as well. Normal development trait, unfortunately, but still unbelievable. 6'4", 97 speed. What else can I tell you that you need to know? And then with the other pick, we're going to get crazy with it again, I think. Going to pay attention to edge just to see if there's anyone there. You do have George Karlaftis and Jermaine Johnson, who are definitely interesting. I will have to look a little bit deeper into them. Pause. Then before I just continue on, there's a lot of really good edge options, but the biggest option I kind of want to go for is Chris Olave. 286 plus overall wide receivers. I mean, Chris Olave is really solid, but edge rusher is a huge problem for us, and I don't want to just not have a good edge rusher, or just any edge rusher for that matter. It's really tough. It's between Dallas Turner, who is really athletic and a dual-style edge rusher with all that speed, or Chris Olave. And I think if you're talking about pure, like, how OP of a team can you get, having DK Metcalf and Chris Olave would be pretty insane. I'm going to have to look ahead a little bit and try to predict how I think the board's going to go. And of course, if we're talking about pure overpowered, you could go DeMarcus Lawrence here, who's a 91 overall. The problem is, he is also 32 years old. Also, his pass rush is only 85 finesse. That's going to drop hard after the season. I still think, even though this is supposed to be the most overpowered team, that you should still be trying to go with somebody rather youthful. So, yeah, we're going to try to keep it as, like, overpowered, but still usable for more than, like, a season or two possible. Another guy, we're talking about Demario Davis. He's 92 overall, one of the best off-ball linebackers in the league, but he's 35. There's a 90% chance he retires after the first season, which I don't really know how you can call that super overpowered when he'll literally be gone. And then if you're doing this based on purely a rebuild setting, Nick Chubb is clearly a guy that would be great. He's OP in Sim, but once again, 28 years old. Because he's a 96, he'll be fine for probably 2 to 3 seasons, but you're probably better off just going like Bijan. I don't know why the running backs are all messed up. Gibbs or A-Chain, who I think, assuming he's there, I think A-Chain will probably be the running back we end up with if I'm predicting. But yeah, I think a really good offense is the best way to be overpowered, so Chris Olave is going to be our selection here. 2 wide receivers that are really good. And you can see there we get really unlucky that Dallas Turner didn't make it to us. He was really close. Thibodeau as well. He's a little bit more raw than Dallas Turner, which is kind of crazy to think, but pretty true as well. And you might call me crazy here, but Joe Alt is going to be my selection here because he is superstar development trait, and that is hands down, I'm trying to think across the board here, the toughest position to get a dev up for. And with abilities like Secure Protector or Edge Threat, or not Edge Threat, All Day, those types of abilities, they could be some of the strongest players on your entire team. If you can have a left tackle with one of those overpowered abilities where you basically don't even have to worry about pressure coming from that side, it is invaluable. And now this is a really tough decision for me because Kyle Pitts is there and he is truly the ultimate tight end. But you have other options where you can maybe wait around and end up with another really strong option in Brock Bowers. The problem with him is he is a little bit shorter. He's 3 inches shorter, and he is less polished. So, I mean, without a doubt, Kyle Pitts is the better player, but we are also risking a potential cornerback here, or maybe even pass rusher by not going for one here. And honestly, I'm going to go out of left field here and take Joke. I think the pure value of him being such a high overall with that speed, the hit power, the man coverage for a linebacker, catching, jumping, and he's got it all. I'm going to go with him. Could go edge, could go tight end, but I think we can, especially tight end, get that this round anyways. You can see Kyle Pitts just barely goes in front of us. If we want one of the truly great tight ends, aka Pitts, or Brock Bowers, we're going to have to go with him right here. You know, if you're looking at the speed differences, obviously you have a Musgrave, which you can definitely develop, but as far as guys that are already star dev that are 21 years old, the options are not very common, so I think without a doubt, you could go Theo Johnson later as well. Brock Bowers is our best bet at tight end here. And honestly, being 6'3" might actually be more of a benefit because I think they round the corner a little bit better than the taller tight end. So Brock Bowers is going to be the pick here. And now this is a tough choice because you could go with Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson, who I believe Bijan still has superstar, or you can go the ultimate risk, which I think he might even be a better player because speed is truly king in all football games with A-Chain, but he goes late, like usually early 11th, which we're going to have pick 32, late 10th. He could easily go earlier, or he could go later, so I'm debating on this one. Do I take Bijan so I don't risk running back at all, or do I wait and just end up taking A-Chain? Then obviously we're talking about, you know, really good overall players. You could go Derrick Henry as well. He's still really much an option at 94 overall with X Factor. He shouldn't regress that hard, and hell, I think he goes a little bit later than this. He might even be the option I have as my guy because, you know, this is supposed to be the most overpowered team, and if he lasts even 2 seasons as a plus running back, I mean, he might be worth grabbing. Yeah, I think I'm going to not go with one of the running backs because I have Derrick Henry going late 11. So if A-Chain's not there, we do have Derrick Henry as a backup plan more than likely. And honestly, I would almost consider this selection to almost be a luxury pick. So I'm going to reach a little bit, I think, and take a safety in Andre Cisco. All the speed in the world. At safety, it's either speed or height that you want, and he's got a little bit of both. 6 foot tall, 92 speed, 80 hit power is not slouching at safety, and he's only 24, so Andre Cisco is going to be my choice. And now we find the moment of truth. Do we have our running back A-Chain? We do. Is Henry there still? He is too, which is, it's so hard to pass on him. But we're, you know, like I said, a blend of overpowered and really good, you know, with youth. So it's tough to pass on Derrick Henry because we have A-Chain. What about, like, we could just go Derrick Henry and then Jalen Wright, no? You know, that's what I'm going to do, because we can get Trey Benson later. I'm going to go for the overpowered Henry here, because this year 1 offense is going to be absolutely insane. So Derrick Henry is going to be my choice. He goes later in this round. The pure value, even at 30, I really want to see what his regression point is after this season, is just too good to pass on, I think. I think he's still going to be an 88 overall by the end of the year once it's, you know, once he regresses, which is perfectly fine, I think. So that's going to be our choice. And then here, I think the next round is when almost all of the really good young linemen go. So I'm not really sure what this pick is, but I think the next 2 after this might be O-line. So we have to really think ahead here. And we might be a little early, about a round early, but like I said, all of the linemen go. It's between Amarius Mims and Latham. Latham actually goes before Mims, which I think it might only be because he's actually a left tackle versus Mims at right tackle. But we've already taken Joe Alt, so with the height of Mims, you have 2 6'8", 6'9" tackles, which I think is already super fun, if not overpowered anyways. O-line is going to be the choice. And now we're going to be finishing off the DT spot, which is a little weird because we still have yet to get an edge rusher. We're probably going to be lacking a little bit on edge, which I will admit is a little bit, I wouldn't say of an oversight, but just a lack of opportunity. You know, we could have maybe went with one of the edge rushers instead of wide receiver, but I truly think an OP offense is still your best way to win. You got the best defense in the world and still get dotted up. But if you have the best offense in the world, you can match toe-to-toe with anyone. And, you know, scoring is the only way to technically win. And I will admit, we also did get very unlucky. So instead of Mims, what I should have probably done was take Latu this round, the round we took Mims, and then take one of the linemen this round. That was a little bit of a mistake on my part. I was trusting the board a little bit more than maybe I should have. And with that, we're like basically stuck with like Quiddy Pay, which I would just rather not grab. At worst case, I think, okay, can I please show the people? At worst case, we could probably end up with like Lucas Van Ness and wherever the hell Byron, or Felix Anoduke is also there. And what's the guy's name? The one from the freaking Bengals, Miles Murphy, right there he is. Those could be some of our options at edge, which, yeah, they're a little bit on the lower side, but they have potential. So, while they're not overpowered, you have Von Miller? Von Miller is still here as well. He's only star dev. That is the ultimate, like, okay, we're we're just trying to do something just for the overall, you know? Same with Cameron Jordan, both those guys. Really not even that great at pass rushing anymore even, but just so old. It's just not worth it. And this is another really big drop-off, and, you know, you could argue this isn't overpowered. This guy's a low overall, but Edgerrin Cooper goes next round, and I have 2 other players that I need next round, so we're going to be reaching a little bit for Edgerrin Cooper. Overpowered also doesn't have to just mean overall, right? I think most of us, especially us play in user leagues, would argue that a top 5 linebacker in the game is Isaiah Simmons. And obviously he's not a very good overall, but he is absolutely a top 5 linebacker in the league in game because of how good he is as a user. And that is pure value. And it technically does make him overpowered, in my opinion. And Lucas Van Ness goes mid to late next round. I think at 23 years old, his size, decent athleticism, I think he makes for a decent enough edge rusher. And I know it's starting to become the Packers team again. It always happens. But I got to give it to Green Bay. They've been drafting a lot of athletically gifted players, which for the most part, after 3 to 5 years before this, really not always their MO. Or someone like to call Mo. Nobody calls I just terrible joke. I'm doing it again. We're going with another Packer. High hit power, high catching, high zone coverage. Javon Bullard. He's 21 years old. I don't care. I don't care. I might be, outside of getting Musgrave as a backup, might be our last Packer, though. So, you know, relax. All right, so with this pick, we're going to be ending up grabbing DJ Turner, the insanely fast cornerback, too. Sure, he is very raw, but he is very talented as well. And now, because we need an edge, I think it's going to be Myles Murphy time. The problem with going Myles Murphy is that Peyton Wilson goes, next round. So you have to choose between Myles Murphy and Peyton Wilson, anyways. And I think because we can probably get a different an off-ball linebacker later, I gotta go Myles Murphy and finish that edge room. It's a really weak edge room, I will admit, but you can apply some pressure from the middle and all that speed. Get coverage sacks, all right? Just start usering better, okay? How about that? And I think with this selection, we're going to be going to Adonai Mitchell, who I would argue is good enough to play as your number 2 wide receiver, and maybe number 1 because of that athleticism with the height, but here he's going to be our number 3. And then the next choice, I believe, is going to be the young Trevin Wallace, who, of course, is going to finish our linebacker room out. Once again, we're starting to go into that perfect fantasy draft realm rather than just overpowered, but once again, we also talked about how overpowered doesn't have to just be overall. Speed is overpowered, height is overpowered, jukeability is overpowered, without a doubt. And, of course, I think Trey Benson would be gone here, but if I'm not mistaken, assuming I didn't sell... Oh, Trey Benson's still actually here. But assuming I didn't sell completely, we'd have Trey Benson anyways. Jalen Wright is also here. Also, got to be honest with you, for some reason, I thought Jalen Wright was faster than that. So, of course, you have the choice between Trey Benson and Jalen Wright. It's going to be probably Trey Benson for me, especially since I feel he's a little more complete as a back. Right, okay, 70 catching, 79 truck, 79 stiff arm versus Jalen Wright, who I think is going to have pretty close trucking, just not as much stiff arm. 1 year younger. Catching's not as good. I would still argue, though, that Jalen Wright might be better. I got to compare change of direction. 84 agility, 86 change of direction versus Mr. Trey Benson, who has 85 agility. So they're about the same, man. Injury, stamina, toughness a little bit worse, I think. Let's see. 95 carrying, 82 break tackle, 77 strength. Okay, let's compare that now to Mr. Jalen Wright. So carrying's obviously a lot worse. Strength is worse. Break tackle's worse. So yeah, I think Trey Benson does take the cake here. So our potential future running back, even though he's going to be a year older than Jalen Wright anyways, it's going to be Trey Benson. And then even though you're unlikely to need a quarterback, Michael Penix is going to go next round, and his value is just too good not to grab, so Michael Penix is going to be our choice. And now we get into some of the problems with this offensive line class being grown. I don't even know where it was grown, but the soil was insane because everyone's like 6'8", but Patrick Paul, I think the value is too good not to take him. Put him at guard, do whatever you got to do. Just put him somewhere, all right? You got athleticism with all these tall tackles anyways. You got the next Alex Boone at guard. What do you want? And then now we're starting to get into just pure luxury. Tez Walker, why not? Grab him. And then a guy you definitely don't want to lose, Graham Barton, ironically enough, the shortest line we have, who is 6'5". And then we take the final hidden dev corner in Andrew Phillips. And even though we didn't get lucky that Luke Musgrave was still here, Isaiah Foskey was. Not that we really need backup edge, but we'll take him. Why not? And then a super sleeper DT, Darius Robinson. That'll be our number 3. And then even though I didn't also expect Zach Frazier to be here, I mean, he is, so I'm going to take him. And I guess Jaden Hicks just never goes anywhere. This is who I probably would have taken instead of Bullard, but Bullard was looking good at the time, and I had a luxury pick, so I took him. But at this point, I mean, you already have your starting lineup, so just take whatever you can get hidden-wise that's, like, you know, super sneaky, like Cooper Beebe's a good choice. Might be a few other hiddens in there that we don't even need, but we're just taking them for pure value. Might be another tackle in here. Okay, I don't know why we're at running back. I don't know how that happened. I thought I was at freaking lineman, but should still maybe be one more hidden in here. Mauk is there. Good old Mauk. What else do we have? Any other ones? Left tackle, maybe? A little bit less than I would have thought, to be honest. But, yeah, I mean, just take what you got for pure value. Speed, if there's someone there. There's got to be somebody still here. Troy Anderson, Channing Tindall are still there. Troy Anderson's like a poor man's version of some of the guys we passed on. Pure speed-wise, at the cornerback spot, you've got plenty of other corners. Safety, we really don't need at all. We've got that pretty much set. I think that might still be a decent running back, like Garendo. Is that his name? Is he gone? I sold, I think. I let Garendo go. We still have great running backs anyways. You can go like Chase Brown or something if you need a running back still. What about speed at wide receiver? Tyquan Thornton, he's 24 now, but he's still, you know, solid. Any other, like, youthful players? Maybe you want to go youth instead of the speed? No devs, of course, left over, but youth, you can go Jalen McMillan, Brennan Rice. I think Brennan Rice, the storyline's there, so why not add another taller wide receiver? And then even though he's older, I would also imagine he probably has the mentor tag. Taysom Hill's really good in the game. 90 speed, 81 catching, unbelievable juke ability with 86 trucking, 85 juke, 85 stiff arm. I think he's insane. Obviously, he's on the older side, that's why he's still here, but he's a great backup tight end. So, you know, losing Musgrave doesn't really matter too much because most of the time, you're going to need to pay those guys anyways, and most teams can't really afford to have 2 tight ends. Even someone as low as of an overall as Musgrave is asking for like a 3-year, like 20. So you can't really do that anyways. At this point, though, I think the best overpowered players would really be the ones that are going to get you mentor tag, right? To get these developments up, these overalls up anyways. So take some of the older guys. 32 plus is usually, you know, the kind of mentor line, if you will. David Andrews is still here. I can't believe he's still here. Why not? Pure value. Chandler Jones, we've been over. He's a mentor, so you grab another mentor there. Anthony Barr is a mentor, and he's actually still, you know, pretty damn good for how old he is. 6'5", 83 speed. Don't know how, Rodgers would feel about that, but, technically he's not on the team anyways. But we also talked about adding players for their speed, but didn't actually add any, so we should probably add, Troy Anderson, who's unfortunately, I think, 25 now. Yeah, he's 25, but still time to develop him because the way they changed developing quote-unquote young players, lower overall players, you get some pretty insane boosts. But then you see the cornerbacks, they're still there, like Jacorian Bennett, DeCamerion, Richardson. Probably going to take both of them. And Joe Milton's still there. Why not have 3 quarterbacks that, for some franchises, you would choose any of them to be your starter? Pretty sure Adrian Phillips is a mentor. Not 100% sure, but trying to find those older mentor types that have a little bit of athleticism to actually be able to use if they need to step out onto the field. Linval Joseph, I'm very certain is mentor. Did we already get a DT that's a mentor? I don't know. Gabe Jackson, you get the gist. Mentors, athleticism, and then I suppose your kicker punter, which, I don't even think you need to technically grab. You can see that they're like pretty much all here. I think we came to the agreement that I believe Cade York is the best kicker based on his youth. But obviously, if you're trying to make the best overpowered team, why not grab 2 kickers and just grab Justin Tucker for the year? Just, we're going to sim for 1 year, put the best kicker out there. We don't need all these backups anyways. You're not going to field 50 players, on a field at a time. And then punter, I think, was without a doubt, it was Ryan Stonehouse is the best option. 25 years old, super good kick power at 99, and accuracy's up there. Athletic as well, so as your kickoff sender, you can catch up anyone. Oh, Johnny Wilson. Almost didn't grab Johnny Wilson. Where the hell is he? There we go. Johnny Wilson, 23 years old, but 6'7", obviously a great option. Very good route running and release as well. And then the true new GOAT of tight end speed, Devin Culp, So raw, but 90 speed. And I was actually going to sim, but then I was like, you know what? The draft's actually almost over. I drafted the whole thing, so let's get Juszczyk, who's a superstar, and just finish the draft out with a couple of random pieces. Julio's still there. Why not have an 8th wide receiver? All right, let's see how good this team actually is. It's an 82 overall, which is, I mean, not the most overpowered by pure overall, but look at this offense. Patrick Mahomes with DK Metcalf, Chris Olave, Adonai Mitchell, Derrick Henry, Trey Benson, Brock Bowers, and you know what? I'm going to call Taysom Hill OP as well. 90 speed and that trucking shouldn't be a combination at tight end. It's insane. Of course, the offensive line. Superstar left tackle. Amarius Mims basically is a superstar, but obviously doesn't have the abilities coming his way. Interior line, you know, it's strong enough, I think. And you also have BB as a star dev backup. You also have Kyle Juszczyk. The offense is ridiculous. Defense, maybe not as good, but you still have some options. Tariq Woolen is, you know, super fast and tall. DJ Turner, super fast. Safeties, you know, the free safety's great. Left out's great. A lot of speed at linebacker. DT1's amazing. DT2's got a lot of potential. 79 power move already as a rookie is crazy. The only real thing that I would have liked to do better in this one would have been maybe get a better edge, but that would have resulted in us not having Olave, and is that really a good trade-off? I also will say we got unlucky on one of the draft rounds. Instead of Mims, we should have went with Latu, and then just taken Mims the next round, assuming he was there. If not, I think Fuaga would have been there. So that was our big mistake, but I was expecting Latu to be there because I projected him to go 10-15 spots after where he did. Well, actually, no. Technically, 20 to 25 spots after where he did. It's just 10 to 15 after where we were. But the team looks great. Let's simulate the team. We got the Chiefs offense, the Bills defense. If this isn't a playoff team, I'm just going to delete the video and you'll never see it. Mahomes is going to be making it pretty hard to suck in general. Pause. But, yeah, we look like we had a pretty good season. We didn't get the bye week at 13-4, though. The Titans and the Chiefs were ahead of us, 14-3, 14-3. Still a really good season, obviously. Mahomes wasn't even in the top 3. Russell Wilson was for the Titans. Is that Titans scheme goated? Is that what I'm trying to figure out here? Is that what I'm learning? Lost to the Bills, lost to the Steelers, lost to the Vikings. Some interesting teams. Actually, we lost to another team in there as well. It was the... Damn, who was it? It was a team early on. I can't remember, but it was there. You seen it. I just didn't look. Chiefs scheme, but not on the Chiefs team. Mahomes was good, but not amazing. 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3,898 yards. It's good, but for Mahomes in-game, it's not the best. Derrick Henry, really good numbers. Olave, Bowers crushed it. Metcalf really didn't get the numbers I was hoping for. Mitchell was great. Blocking, really good numbers, actually. Defensively, one guy with over 100 tackles. At least it's the guy that we made, you know, it made sense to have. D-line, we don't talk about sim numbers because even, you know, we've had it where 90-plus overall guys just don't get numbers. So that's just a random position for the last 2 Maddens now. Tucker misses 5 kicks out of 24 as well, mind you. He's literally the highest-rated kicker in the game, and he missed 5 kicks, just to be clear. MVP goes to Joe Burrow, who was on the Chiefs, and then Mahomes was number 2 for MVP, which is pretty impressive. Brock Bowers, Rookie of the Year. Byron Murphy, Rookie of the Year. We have all the sliders on base because I like to get a good feel for, you know, how the team would develop into, you know, even more overpoweredness, if you will. I'm not going to actually go into the games because, you know, this isn't a rebuild or anything like that. Whatever happens, happens. We do win. It's the Chiefs. It's going to be a really tough matchup. And we win that as well, apparently. We're now against the Chargers, and I have no idea if we won or lost. I really wouldn't be able to tell you. Did we? And we won that one as well. I mean, I'm just going to sim this as well. I don't really care. It's worked out so far. Did we win? Are we the champions of Super Bowls? We did. Okay, I mean, you could say it's the scheme. You could say whatever you want, but we just drafted a fantasy draft team that we were deeming as overpowered, and we won the Super Bowl in year 1. And there's a lot of young players in this team that have only gone up since the season started. I'll show you guys the XP sliders. Literally didn't change them at all because, once again, I want to test how good this team is because a lot of people aren't going to change the sliders too much other than maybe O-line. So I didn't want to change anything like that. Let's take a look at what the team actually ended up as, dev-up-wise and just overall-wise. Bowers is obviously a superstar. Maybe even, yeah, I was about to say, maybe even straight to X-Factor because he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, but also was just great in general. X-Factor, where did he get superstar? Because he's only a star to start. I'm not sure where superstar came from, but Yeah, what is that overall, by the way? The morale's up there, to be fair. 88 overall after year one with no XP boosted sliders. And then we talked about Derrick Henry being an 88 overall. He's actually an 89 overall. Still fast. Acceleration's a little lower, obviously, but really good. You know, he was worth it in the end. He lost a lot of ratings, though. Injury was really bad. Awareness a little bit. Agility really, really bad. Break tackles a little bit low. What's that injury, then? 85 injury. That's kind of rude, but still very much so running back one worthy. So, yeah, Derrick Henry is draftable. He is absolutely draftable. I don't really care too much. I guess I do want to see Brock Bowers' actual ratings, though. Which you can see catching's amazing, route running's amazing. He's good. He's a very good player. What about Mahomes? Did that deep throwing go up like 2? Nothing crazy there. Let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball now, see if we have any dev-ups over there. Joke, maybe. Joke indeed. Byron and Byron. Well, Miles. It's double Murphy. And then Andrew Phillips went up in dev. We have Bullard, who's an 80 overall now. Cooper's a 77. Trevin only went up a few. But you look at Van Ness, he's a 77 overall. I mean, you have options. Maybe it is actually the meta to not go edge early and just get some really good upgrades, because if you watched our Patriots episode we had yesterday, or if you follow me on Twitter, Jeromepkr, seen that image of Uche getting, what was it, like 5 power move, 5 block shed, 2 finesse or something with 1 upgrade, and he's like 25, so it is viable. You can see Byron Murphy, he's an 86 overall superstar. Yeah, this is the type of team you can get if you pick 1 overall and, somewhat follow our lead a little bit. I suppose what you could have done differently, like I said, is instead of going Mims, take Latu there, then take Mims the next round if he's there, and if he's not there, then you just take, Fuaga or Fautanu, some of the other options. Joe Alt, superstar dev abilities, nasty streak, unspun, and tearproof. Of course, when he gets higher overall, you could end up going edge protector, all day secure protector, which that's where the true value of a superstar offensive lineman comes from. And I think ultimately this was, in fact, an overpowered draft. Let's take a look at the actual team overall compared to the rest, because that is where you're also going to see our team ends up, exceeding expectations. Because a lot of teams have those, older guys that end up regressing and retiring. 88 overall with base sliders, mind you, versus all these other teams. And the highest overall besides us so far, I think, was 85. So yeah, pretty damn good team. If this helped you at all, or you just enjoyed the video in general, because I just love fantasy drafts in general. I don't really even need to play as the team. Just doing the draft is fun for me. Maybe leave a like, subscribe if you're new. If you're not new, I do appreciate getting support on the channel. Follow me on Twitter, Jeromepkr, second channel PK Plays for now Madden content. And we're looking at probably a rebuild tomorrow with a bunch of content on Saturday. I would say Patriots franchise, maybe an experiment. Probably also Raging Cajuns franchise. Maybe, hell, it could be 4 videos on Saturday. Who knows? And then I would imagine a rebuild on Sunday. Obviously, we still have football. Preseason is still fun to watch, I suppose. There's a lot of highlight plays that happen, and it's still worthy of watching it. But anyways, hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video,